pretty obvious that using radioactive waste is a terrible idea. The use of phosphogypsums in roads can result in radionuclides leaching into nearby waterways. The environmental impacts and the public health impacts are already well established, which makes this bill that much more ridiculous.
But Matanzas Riverkeeper Jen Lomberg talking about a bill signed into law by Governor Ron DeSantis last week. Amy Cherry takes a closer look.
She says the measure allows the use of radioactive waste in the construction of roads.
Florida is a leading producer of phosphate, which is a key component in fertilizer production. And phosphogypsum is the radioactive waste that comes from processing phosphate into phosphoric acid to make fertilizer. And it is really nasty stuff. It contains radioactive elements like uranium and radium. It releases cancer-causing radon gas, and it can also contain toxic heavy metals like arsenic and lead and mercury.
Lomberg explains why she believes they're using it this way.
They need a way to dispose of this stuff. So we've seen that there are problems with disposing of phosphogypsum in these gyp stacks, but it's very, very expensive to dispose of radioactive waste.
But she says there's hope that radioactive waste may not end up in our roads.
Even though Florida has approved the use of radioactive waste to build roads, the use of phosphogypsum in road construction is still prohibited by federal law. So that means that Florida would have to get permission from the Federal Environmental Protection Agency in order to build these roads.
With St. Augustine's local morning news, I'm Amy Cherry.
This local news is a service of your hometown Toyota dealer, Beaver Toyota, here to wow you. 200 bills passed by the Florida legislature and signed by Governor Ron DeSantis went into effect Saturday.
One of the most significant is a new law that suspends a business's licenses if they hire undocumented immigrants. It also funds a program to transport migrants to other states. Another measure gives every student access to a school choice program and scholarships to cover $8,000 in private school tuition. New restrictions stop investment of state pension funds based on environmental and social governance. Automobile manufacturers are now forbidden to sell vehicles directly to buyers under a bill that was supported by the Florida Automobile Dealers Association. Florida's concealed carry law has changed to allow carrying a concealed weapon as long as the individual has valid identification and gives their ID to an officer if asked to do so. A new law requires public facilities, including prisons and schools, to have designated bathrooms for men and women, and individuals will be required to utilize facilities based on their gender as assigned at birth. Other new laws expand affordable housing, link hiking and biking trails to a statewide wildlife corridor, and prevent credit card companies from tracking firearm and ammunition sales through a separate merchant category code. For St. Augustine's local morning news, I'm Rich Petchke.
If you're not familiar with Camino, think back to the movie The Way starring Martin Sheen. Liz Ryan explains why that film connects with a special event this month in the ancient city.
In the movie, he plays a father that heads overseas to recover the body of his estranged son who died while traveling the Camino de Santiago and decides to take the pilgrimage himself. This month here in St. Augustine, there's a celebration of the Camino de Santiago as a pilgrimage of spiritual and cultural significance. And because of our Spanish roots, there's a deep connection here. Katie Lockhart is the Director of Archives and Record Management at the Diocese of St. Augustine. She told me about an alliance that focuses on these sacred roots.
The Cathedral Alliance is a connection of cathedrals that are connected to pilgrimage routes. We're hoping in the future to have a pilgrimage route that goes down to Cusco, Peru, Santiago de Compostela in Spain, and then the Basilica Cathedral here in St. Augustine.
There's a big celebration on July 25th, open to the public.
Last year there was a delegation of us that went over to Spain to connect the pilgrimage routes in Spain to the pilgrimage routes in the United States. Since St. Augustine is serving as a bridge, the visible sign of that is a statue that we brought back with us. The statue of St. James is a replica of the Portico of Glory. He was blessed over in Spain, and then he came back to the United States, and he will be on display permanently outside the cathedral. So we're going to be processing him. We're going to start at the Castillo San Marcos. There'll be a procession down the street and then down St. George Street, and we'll end at the cathedral, and then there's going to be a mass.
The Cathedral Basilica is of great religious and historic importance. It's home to the oldest Catholic parish in the country, dating back to 1565. For St. Augustine's Local Morning News, I'm Liz Ryan.
And now you're up to date with St. Augustine's Local Morning News. I'm Rich Carroll.